Hi everyone, welcome to our next volume of our report as the interns of the Incarnate Word Foundation. We are the students from UDEM, and we're here to tell you a little bit about how our work has progressed so far. In the last week, we've progressed a lot. We've gotten to meet a lot of groundwork players here in St. Louis in these issues. We met with the sisters at El Puente in Jefferson City, which told us about some of um, the approaches they have with these communities that have so many challenges and problems. And then we also met with the Interfaith Committee on Latin America, Solidarity Committee that is very important. They're celebrating their the 35th year anniversary working in these issues, which is truly impressive, and they were very welcoming. We've also met with several renowned Mexican people, a part of the population and the community here in St. Louis, in the Contemporary Art Museum. And yeah, it's very exciting. We're finally narrowing down like the key players here in St. Louis and who's been working on issues for Latino communities and Mexican American communities. And yeah, it's very exciting stuff.
I think it's very important to acknowledge that we've changed our main objective of our research. We were at the beginning we were just interested in like knowing all the issues that that concern the Mexican American or the Latino community here in St. Louis, but we realized that it was still a huge research and we needed to narrow it down. So talking with Bridget and like analyzing ourselves what we had found, we conclude that one of the most important problems that is happening now is forced labor or human trafficking in as work exploitation. So we realized that it was since the foundation, the Incarnate Word Foundation, already has a program for human trafficking to fight human trafficking. It would be nice to give them like a background or some research so they can approach it, the problem in the Mexican American community. So right now our research has been all focused to that subject, and all these personalities we have met. We are trying to have like an insight of that subject. We are also meeting Thursday with Daniel Gonzalez, which is a local historian. He has many works. His line on investigation is about like the Mexican American and the Latinos here in St. Louis, so he will be very helpful. Well, yes, we are very excited. We have met with all of these personalities. We met the mayor for like 2 minutes, but we did. And we have been, well, working and researching really a great time.
Yes. Also, I think it's important to say that in our path of the investigation, we found out that there are so many organizations, non-profit organizations and committees that work for Latino community and Mexican American population, and that I think it's important to say that we truly respect their work, and some of them have like 35 years working in this kind of issues. So we made a questionnaire, and we're trying to make an approach or trying to explain the different dynamics that are happening right now between these organizations and how they work and what they do, what are their philosophy or the methodology, how they behave between them, the governance, how is the relationship between government and these organizations. Government hear them or not, they do activism or they improve social well-being of the population, they work with neighborhoods, or they just work with the Mexican American population in general. We're trying to explain this kind of dynamics, so we're not like we're not saying we come from Mexico and we're gonna save the Mexican American population from here. But I think something we can do is try to explain these dynamics, and I'm talking with the different organizations here in St. Louis, they're like, yeah, that could be great because sometimes we are just so busy working and working for the Mexican American population, and we have our agendas, and sometimes we don't talk with each other, which we all know it's kind of a problem of the third sector and the non-profit organizations. But yeah, that's what we're trying to do, and humbly we expect that we conclude something useful for the Incarnate Word Foundation and for the organizations that work so hard here in St. Louis.
I think it's very important that by gathering all these, like the agendas of all of these non-profits working for the Latin American community, we can see at the end, like conclude what is their main goal, and after also being in touch with the Mexican American and Latino community, like the average people, what is the major issue that concerns them, and like match these two things together, like the main thing the non-profits are working on and the major issue that concerns the population, and see that like if there is a good
match.
if there is like a good response for the problems that are happening, and well, if it's not, then how can we approach these issues? So yeah, we hope what we find is useful for the Incarnate Word Foundation, and it will be just like the background, not a huge research because of the time, but well, we hope it can give some insight.
Thank you to Agustin, the Vice President of Development from our university, for coming up to visit us here in St. Louis. That was very fun. And also thank you to Carl from the Mayor's Office, the Policy Advisor, and
Mike from the
Federal Reserve Bank. Yeah, thank you. Thanks to everyone for welcoming us to St. Louis. It's making our job so much easier. And tune in next week for our next volume for the report. Thank you for listening. Adios.